Catherine Goshen, a professional astrologer from the village of Nyack in New York State, and I'm passionate about in-depth astrology and getting to the heart of the matter. In this video, I want to talk about the recent events that happened in Washington D.C., the storming of the Capitol, from the perspective of astrology, in order to shed some light on how best to assimilate this kind of tumultuous event. Firstly, I'd like to welcome all the new subscribers here. It's been such a pleasure to see you watching your rising sun and moon signs for 2021. I'm very happy to be growing this community. I will be sharing videos with you whenever possible, which is sometimes a challenge for my schedule, but I will certainly do my best to produce for you in 2021. And I'd also like you all, the serious astrologers, to consider joining me at the Empowered Astrology Conference 2021 in March. We usually meet in Washington, D.C., but this year the conference will be virtual, March 11 to 14, and I will be lecturing with some brilliant astrologers such as J. Lee Lehman, Frank Clifford, Kathy Rose, Elizabeth Grace, Matthew Wimet, to name but a few. So I will post details below, and you can check that out in your own time. Now, I have the chart here in front of me, and this is the chart for the time that people stormed the Capitol and the violence ensued. And what I would like to mention first and foremost is that Mars was at the Anaretic degree of 29 degrees yesterday. And I'd like you to picture Mars that has been for 6 months in the sign of Aries. Now, Mars usually takes 1 to 2 months to travel through each sign. And when he spends time in a sign for a long period, such as the 6 months in Aries, due to the retrograde motion of Mars, you know that this is an important time for the energy expression of global events. Mars is ruling Aries by day and is at his most forceful and direct. And throughout the second part of 2020, we've had Mars come up in a square or 90-degree aspect with Saturn in Capricorn. So we had Saturn in Capricorn representing controls and government, coming up against Mars in Aries representing this resistance and this wish for movement to proceed, to move forward, things to happen, for action. And instead we have had government restrictions and that constant 90-degree aspect. Now we all know that Saturn has moved into the sign of Aquarius since December, so there's a shift. And what we saw on January the 6th is Mars at its final push in Aries. It was at 29 degrees and 55 minutes of Aries when the violence took place in the Capitol building. And that is really showing us that there is a lot to learn from mundane astrology, that we can see that when a planet is at the final degree of a sign, it's as if it has to learn everything there is about that sign and make a final push to manifest the energies of that sign before it switches into the next sign. The other fascinating thing to note is that the midheaven or medium coeli of the chart, the point that is directly overhead, one of the most important angles in any chart was at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So we see the final push, the culmination of a serious number of tensions with Mars unchecked by Saturn in Capricorn. So in that chart, we see Mars at 29 degrees of Aries, making an exact square to the midheaven at 29 degrees of Capricorn. And as many of you know, these angles are the most important points of the chart. And to me, this represents endings of some sort, a grand finale, a grand push by Mars to assert its warlike nature in Aries. The day after the storming of the Capitol, January 7th, 2021, Mars moves into the sign of Taurus. And now we feel this energy shift. We have another square because we have a square now from Saturn in Aquarius to Mars in Taurus, two fixed signs. And if you are learning astrology, it is very helpful to become attuned to the cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs that are active in the heavens at every moment in time, because they will be making the most intense relationships with one another. And I'd like you to picture that shift that we are now experiencing. We are experiencing a shift from cardinal signs, Saturn in Capricorn, Mars in Aries, to fixed signs, Saturn in Aquarius to Mars in Taurus. Now, on the one hand, this is going to bring increased stability because these are fixed signs. Saturn in Aquarius would like to establish the nation, to re-establish order, and to begin about creating a new mindset for the country. However, because it's a square aspect and because Mars is in Taurus, which can tend to stubbornness, we are going to see more friction. And we also have to remember, most importantly, that we have the planet Uranus coming into the mix. And Uranus squaring Saturn, together with Mars, is going to be the major theme for the year. February is a volatile period because we have Mars in the mix until he moves into the sign of Gemini. And then for the rest of 2021, we're going to have Saturn square Uranus. So Saturn wants that structural change. It wants to establish order and to set down new barriers, new disciplined structures. Uranus, on the other hand, which is in Taurus now, wants to bring change. It has a sense of upheaval. And the interesting thing is that Uranus tends to get the upper hand. So for many of you who have these points of fixed signs in your charts in early degrees, you're feeling this tension in your lives. And as a nation, we are also feeling it. And as we go into 2021, it's very important to frame how you're going to work with this particular aspect in your life, because it's going to affect all of us to a greater or a lesser degree. So either we can go with this dominant thought that there is something to resist and a huge continuation of this tumultuous energy, or we can reframe this aspect and see Uranus as a spiritual planet which is bringing in a new frequency and asking us to get rid of the old in order to upload and upgrade to a new frequency. It is up to each one of us in our own lives to be the creators of a nation that we can be proud of and of a world that we would like to see. And with the Uranus-Saturn square, this doesn't mean that it's necessarily a very easy or simple task in our daily lives. But it does mean that if we are serious about wishing for change, change is very possible, and change will ultimately triumph over forces which wish to keep us in check. These can be forces that are from the past or negative patterns which keep us acting in certain ways and do not allow our full spiritual growth or understanding. So I challenge you over the next year to become aware of where in your life is the greatest point of friction. And this is going to be your greatest teacher and your greatest opportunity for growth this year. It is possible now to let go of old habit patterns. It is possible now to make enormous shifts. So that's all I have for you today. If you found this video at all helpful, please like and subscribe. And I will see you next time. And remember to check out the link for the Empowered Astrology Conference 2021.